Hi, and the Confidence on Camera lesson on Friday, May the 22nd. I am Michael Bean. You can find more about these on confidenceoncamera.com and a link to classes of various kinds. Today, our guest is Kirsten Clarkson, who you can find at screenactingschool.com. Kirsten is the founder of two different acting schools in Vancouver, Studio on the Drive and School Creative back in the day. And now she lives as a hermit on a farm and teaches exclusively online. She's very exclusive. And today she's going to talk to us about creating your own content, among other things. So I'm very excited to have her as a guest. Okay, there, Kirsten, all you.
Thank you very much. So I actually created other schools other than that too, believe it or not. I just used to be in the habit of creating businesses, including a restaurant and a clothing store. So I like to create businesses. I like to make things. It's fun. And it gives people employment, which is very important. And it fulfills a part of me that needs to be fulfilled. I need to make things out of nothing. I need to have an idea, so a dream. I need to find a way to execute that idea, so make a plan. And then I need to create that idea. It's part of the essence of me. And I think it's a valuable skill that I can share with all my clients. And it's a valuable skill right now specifically because what's happening in the industry is going to probably reduce some of the opportunities for you. And that's not the bad news. That is the good news. So the bad news, it would be bad news if you wanted to spend the rest of your life being a day player. But I'm hoping that you don't. I'm hoping that what you want is to do something significant with your work. When I say significant, it doesn't mean necessarily being a great big huge movie star, although if that's what you want, I'm your girl. I'm right behind you 100%. Actually, I'm your woman. I'm 52 years old. I'm behind you, and I've got the goods to back it up from living a life in this industry. So what I would say was embrace the fact that COVID has given us an experience where day players will probably not be going on set. What will be happening is that you will get a somewhat permanent job on a show. They're going to keep people because that's going to be the safest way to do it. At least that seems to be the consensus from Variety and Hollywood Reporter and all of those magazines that are putting out what's going to happen. Nobody really knows. Everybody's just, making shit up, but that seems reasonable. That seems like a reasonable way to do it. Another reasonable way to do it is to have actors create their own projects or create their own part of the project. And that is not far-fetched at all. I just spoke with my friend Tink, who's a production designer, and you may have worked with him. He does a lot of the shows in Vancouver and around North America and around the world, as a matter of fact. And he is currently working on a project that is being shot all over the world right now. So by the artists. So he's the production designer. So he's telling them how to create the room and or the spaces that need to be created, and they're doing it, and they're making productions. My thinking is, why wait for someone else to make you to give you an idea? Why wait for someone else to help you create that when we have all of the capabilities to do it ourselves? It looks like most of you have a blue screen or you've got a roll up behind you, Audrey. Shanda, it looks like you have a blue screen behind you. So if you have a blue or green screen, green is better, but blue is just as good. You can create a backdrop for yourself just with Zoom. You can upload whatever photo you want to have as your backdrop, and suddenly you're in Italy. There are sound effects, there are special effects, there are videos that you can get of any place on planet Earth to create a show. You can find a picture of a castle, like a video of a castle online, and all of a sudden you're a witch in a castle. You can do those things. You can create those things. You have the ability to tell stories in a really cool way yourself. So you don't have to wait for someone to hire you. You have a platform to create work for yourself right now. What you need more than anything right now is someone to school you in the art of storytelling, and someone to, which is what Michael is doing, and which is what I do as well. All your acting teachers are schooling you in the art of storytelling. And you need to understand how to use the frame. Since most of us have been working with, help me, Michael, when you tape a project, self-tapes, sorry, a little bit of brain damage. Since most of us have been working with self-tapes for the last little while, you're familiar with how to be in the frame. And if you make yourself conversant with film language, then you yourself can create a project that showcases you yourself. And there's nothing wrong with that. Even if nobody but your friends and relatives sees that project, you're keeping yourself in the game at a high level, because you're making yourself the star of the show. That means you have to carry the show. That means you have to think about all the elements that are involved with carrying the show, with being the star of the show. So that's why I think that being in a situation, I'm getting a little feedback here, sorry. Being in a situation where you're not going to be a day player is a great thing, because you're forced to think of yourself as someone who's responsible for your own career and who is going to be able to make things happen for yourself. I've been extremely inspired, thanks to my incredible students, but their work individually and as a group, creating their own work has been amazing. And the ideas have been truly out of this world good, really, really good. I'm working with Daphne on a project right now, Daphne, who's in your group, on a project right now that's really, really good. It started off as something that she wanted to do as a short film with friends, but we just changed it. Something that she can do at home, and maybe she can involve her friends later. They can shoot portions in their places, but you don't have to be an adult to do it. You don't have to be a writer to do it. You don't have to be, you don't have to be a producer. You have to learn how to do that. And everybody can learn those things. Everything. There's a great book that I highly recommend you read. It's not an acting book. It's a like how to get shit done book. It's called Everything is Figure Outable. We have the Google. We can figure out everything. So I highly recommend you take any good idea, anything that you have that is important to you, that you would like to speak to the world about, turn it into drama or comedy or dramedy, whatever it is, an action film, whatever you like, whatever medium you'd like to work in, and then create it. Make it for yourself. You've got all the time in the world, like literally all the time in the world. This never has to be finished. It can just be something that you learn how to do and learn how to do really well. The other thing that my brilliant students taught me was to watch a film about Michael Jordan that's on, or a documentary about Michael Jordan that's on Netflix right now. It's called The Last Dance. And oh my God, I could just cry. It is so good. First of all, I'm like a basketball freak, so it's wonderful that way. But also the relationship between, oh, I might start crying. The relationship between the coach and the players is how I feel about me and my clients. I'm there to support you to be great. And so I'll help you have the tools to be able to play at the highest possible level you can. I'll help you create concepts. I'll do all of that. But you will do the magic. You'll be the Michael Jordan of your your show. And it's a very exciting way to look at things. And it's how both Michael and I work. We are the ones who, says, how about this? And then you're the ones who do the magic. And part of that is because although Michael's an actor, he's got no skin in the game in terms of competition with you, with his clients. He doesn't feel that way. And for me, I have zero skin in the game. I do not want to be an actor. It's like the scariest thing in the world for me. But I love coaching. That's the most exciting thing in the world for me. So having said that, going back to the basketball thing, one wonderful thing about basketball is that the more you practice the fundamentals, the better you are at the game. So it's the same for acting. With basketball, you can actually see it, right? You can see dribbling, you can see passing, you can see the things that you can see making the jumps and all that kind of stuff. You can see the things that you have to practice, the fundamentals that you have to practice. With acting, it's a little bit more difficult in that you sometimes can't figure out what the fundamentals are, because scene study feels like a give and take between you and whomever else you're working with. And so it feels like, how do I practice those fundamentals by myself? Well, that is where I have like a good handle on that, because I was going to say that is where you can come to me. But most coaches know that. But since I've been working online for the last 8 to 10 years, I have developed a way of teaching incrementally. So one thing at a time, because I wasn't able to do scene study online. I can run a scene, and help you book your audition, but I can't really do scene study with you because I can't pass you a cup or whatever. But speaking of which, coffee, it's very good. So I couldn't really do that. So I had to look at what are the fundamental elements of acting that I can teach online. And the big thing that I can teach you is how to think like an actor. And so that means thinking about, how do I tell a story? What kind of story am I telling it? Who am I telling the story for? Who are the other people in the story, and how am I reacting to them? Because as you know, acting is all about reacting. The other people in the story, or the other people in the story are the other characters. And if you don't know those other characters as well as you know the character that you are, then you're a horse's ass. You're not going to get the part, because you're not thinking about the other people and you're being selfish. And that's boring. That's self-indulgent. Nobody wants to see it. Everybody wants to see somebody trying to teach somebody, or trying to convince somebody, or trying to flirt with somebody. They want to see that other somebody there. And if you're not doing that, then it's all about you. And it's like, nobody cares as much. When you see somebody crying and you're just like, oh my God, shut up. That's self-indulgent crying. But if you see somebody crying and you think, oh my God, are you okay? That's somebody crying for something else, someone else. They're aching for someone else. They're longing for someone else. They're feeling empathy for someone else. So when you see that, you understand greatness. You understand the team player, the Michael Jordan of the team, the guy who's, or the Scottie Pippen, the guy who's passing. I love basketball. It's so good for that. So you see those things. That's what makes the person great. Those are the elements. The elements of creating something are similar. Oh, I got to back up. Beep, 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 beep. Audience. If you're not creating for a specific audience, you're making a mistake. When you create for a Nickelodeon audience, and the characters are 12 years old, then the audience is 4 to 8 years old. So 4 to 8 year olds are terrified to do the wrong thing. They're in a big learning curve in their life, and they don't want to laugh unless everybody else is laughing and they know it's okay. So if you're creating a character for 4 to 8 year olds, you got to be really silly. You got to make them know that it's okay that they laugh. Their big brother's not going to go, that wasn't funny. What are you laughing at? That's stupid. Their big brother's going to go, like, yeah, that was funny. So you got to let them know it's okay to laugh. Those are the 4 to 8-year-olds of Nickelodeon. The 12-year-olds have got to feel really cool. So they're watching the 16-year-olds. So if you're 16, if you're playing a 16-year-old, you're being cool. You're holding back. You're like, yeah, sure. Rolling your eyes, being a smart ass. So the 12-year-olds are like, I'm going to be like those guys. I'm going to go, they're going to go learn how to, roll their eyes at their mom and dad. So you're always thinking about your audience and what they need and what they want. And then you're doing a Nickelodeon scene, you don't feel like such an idiot being over the top, because you realize you're speaking to someone who's just learning, or you're showing someone the way. You're showing someone how to, as a 16-year-old, you're showing a 12-year-old how to differentiate from their parents, how to say, no, I'm my own person. I'm not you. And how to do it in a way that's, they're not going and doing drugs or something. They're just rolling their eyes. So that's how thinking about your audience helps you understand the dialogue in a way that works for your audience. If it's a Hallmark show, Hallmark has been the bane of my existence because it's not really my thing. It's a bit too treacly for me. So I interviewed a friend of mine who's a Hallmark reporter, and she said the thing about Hallmark that you have to remember is you don't get too close to the emotion, because even though you want to see the person overcoming pain, you don't want to see the pain. You just want to see the overcoming part. And the other thing is to always be kind and to always keep your word. So as a Hallmark character, if you're looking for those things, for creating the characters, then you're going to create exactly what the audience wants. Somebody who is working hard to overcome a really difficult situation. So if you're playing a kid, you're usually playing a kid whose father or mother is dead and whose mother is remarrying to is trying to fall in love with, or his mother is like a doctor, and she goes down and decides to make candles now. And to a small town decides to make candles, and you're getting in the way of her falling in love with the local bread maker or whatever. So you're going to be a bit of a pest, but not too big of a pest. You're going to be a little bit sad that your dad has died, but not that sad that your dad has died. You're getting over it. You're going to be supporting your mom once she falls for the other guy, but you're not going to be too supportive because you still have to love your dead dad, because that's the way the Hallmark thing goes. So if you've got a handle on that, then you can create those characters. Then you don't go too deep into the pain and so on and so forth. So when you're aware of all those elements, then you're thinking like an actor. Every show has an audience. Every audience has a need. And for you, if you think of it in a generous and big-hearted way, you'll help fulfill that need for the audience. So that's all part of you as an actor, thinking like an actor. So you take that element, you've got that basket, you put it over here. Now you go to your creating a project basket. I'm going to create a project. I'm going to create something that's important to me. So what is important to you? You're the audience, right? So you think, what's important to me? What do I like to watch? What moves me? What makes me cry? What makes me laugh? All that kind of stuff. And then after you do that, you go for a walk, or you take a bath, or you write a poem, or you read a book, or you do something that gets your mind off the idea. Because what will happen is art gets downloaded sort of full from the universe, if you believe in the universe, or from God, if you believe in God, or from like whatever. I don't believe in anything. So I just think art just gets downloaded from the collective consciousness or something. So you get the idea. It comes to you. You're like, shit, that's what I need to do. I need to XYZ. I need to make a story about, let's say Jay-Z. I just XYZ, Jay-Z, Josh Z made me think of Jay-Z. So I need to write a story about how much I love Jay-Z. So I'm a kid who's crazy about Jay-Z, and I'm going to do whatever I can to meet him. And so then you think, okay, what are the obstacles that get in my way, right? Think like an actor. What's the obstacle? What can I do to overcome it? And what is the ultimate solution to the problem? Like what happens in the end? And the way you think of these things is just by letting them come to you. And then you format them. So here's the easiest format ever, ever, ever. Am I talking too much, Michael? Should I allow some questions? Okay, we're good. Okay.
This is great.
Okay, cool. The easiest format ever, ever, ever is once upon a time, there was a person who wanted to do this every day. So once upon a time, there was a person who wanted to do one thing every day. One day, something happened to interrupt that thing. Because of that, this happened. Because of that, this happened. Because of that, this happened. Until finally, the end.
Do you know that that's based on a storytelling improv game? It's called a 7-line story, and there's one line at the end of that game that you leave off of your thing, which is, and ever since that day.
And ever since that day, well, I know that that's how you tell stories to little kids. But I like that. I did not know that, actually. I'm not an improv person. I can do an improv, but I've never studied improv. But no, that's just like how I tell stories to my son. And it's how I started helping people memorize lines, because I realized they weren't memorizing the story, they were memorizing the lines. And the lines are not nothing. The lines are very importante, but the lines are not what you need to memorize. You need to memorize the story behind the lines. So I figured that out, the once upon a time thing. And I realized that that's how everyone is learning to tell stories, right? Everybody who writes a story is learning to tell stories that way. And until you know how to tell a story that way, it's not really that easy to subvert a story and do it differently, because you don't know the elements that you're trying to subvert. So, and that's really important to know. It's kind of the walk before you run kind of thing. And you want to walk before you run, because if you run before you walk, you're going to break your ankles. You really want to get the strength to make those kinds of crazy, being John Malkovich kind of stories by making the other kind of stories first. Make the stories that work in the way that we make stories before you go make crazy stories. Learn how to tell stories first. And every character goes through this in every scene. Every single character goes through it in every scene. Even if you're a one-liner character, you still have those elements. They're just not as overt. They're just little, That's it. So you do that. You've got your story. Then once you've got your story, you write all that stuff down. And then once you've got your story, you go through and you start cutting out all the shit that doesn't need to be there. Everything. Cut it all. So if there's a way to say something in one sentence, say it in one sentence instead of two. That's really, really important. And here's the thing that I also learned from my students. For a couple of years, I've been saying, make your demo reel a minute and a half, 3 30-second pieces for, 3 different characters for agents to see. One of my clients is represented by a fairly swishy management company in Los Angeles. Minute for your reel. So I'm suggesting that if you make a project for yourself, make it a minute. Make it short. Make it something that people can watch in a second, or not in a second, in a minute, to understand what you can do as an artist. And what I'm saying is being played out in the market by organizations like Quibi. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's short for Quick Bites. And they're 10-minute pieces. And Jeffrey Katzenberg, who is like a big time producer, he's the guy who's behind Quibi. So if they're putting like literally billions of dollars into 10-minute shorts, you should follow. You should make little quick bites too for your audience to see. So once you've got all that done, you've got your little short piece, then you think, who's my audience? And you let your audience know what you've done, because we need community. We need to connect with other people. As an artist, you need the other person to receive your work. If you're just giving and giving and giving, you don't get any satisfaction in that. You need to see that the other side of that is somebody who's receiving what you've done and being moved by it and feeling something from it. So it's really important to get your work out there. And even more so now. It's very, very important now because people need to feel something else. You know, all of us are going to Netflix and going like, oh my God, I've watched everything on Netflix, because we need to feel something. We need to feel connected to each other. And you as an artist can provide that connection to other people who need to hear from you. That doesn't mean that it has to be like all deep and moving. It can be funny, you know, it can be silly, it can be whatever. I know when my mom was dying, she wanted to watch like really, really cheesy, funny shows, like comedies all the time. She didn't want to think, oh my God, you know, I'm going to be dead soon, you know? So it's nice to have those kind of silly, funny things to watch too. Not that, you know, that's not your social responsibility ever, just that there is a reason and a place for every piece of art. Woo! Right under the wire.
Yeah, right on. Thanks so much for making time for us today, Kirsten.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
For everybody else, I'm excited to involve Kirsten more in these lessons in some way. And so she and I have been talking about that, you know, and I think that her focus on bringing breaking down work into concrete pieces, you know, and then using that to create your own work is really useful, you know, and is a wonderful complement, you know, to the like more organic, you know, feel into it, you know, like let's spend 15 minutes looking at this and then spend most of our time doing it, you know, that is a lot of the way that I approach the work.
That's the thing, like the way you approach the work is the work.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm the structure.
Good. Well, I'm so grateful to have you playing with us today.
Same.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
That's it? Okay.
That's it. Yeah. Unless you want to hang on for an extra minute and let people ask quick questions, which we could do.
Sure. If they want to.
Yeah. If you've got time for it,
Yeah. Sure. If anybody has a question, I'm happy to answer. And if not, Michael can give you my email if you want to ask.
All you got to do is hit the space bar if you want to ask a question. You know, lean forward, you know, wave your hand, ask a question.
Nothing? Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Perfect.
Bye.
Thanks, Kirsten.
See ya.
Yeah.
Thank you.